always came home. I met people like you, and like, I get out with German and people like that when I came to Lagos. And then at that time in Lagos, people don't really realize it now, but do dirty December. But we had so much bad image. You can't go out at night. You can't do this at night. Then I'm hanging out with German and we're going spending the whole night, together. I go to Sol and wait for him, and then he drives me all over these clubs, and I don't know where we go. I can say, but anyway. And so I just want to make a film about that energy, of the nights of Lagos. But Lagos was so dangerous. That was the image, and I travel over the world from my job. So that's what I had. So I was okay, I want to make a film about something like that. So it was evolving. It's interesting you showed him. So the script won the prize, best script. So I had money. I had a lot of producers, who want to produce the film. And I was like, I just said like, but you want me to make kind of a certain kind of film, So that's why, and then I met you. Actually, I didn't meet you, I met your film, which is called Morocco. So people don't really know about Morocco. And I think you should actually, in one rep, you should play it again, because people don't know this film. I think it was the most honest, I told you. I've told you, it was the most honest film I've seen in Nigeria, about Nigeria. And I think the second one was Mami by Tunde Kalani. Tunde Kalani, I'm thinking of you. Maybe you're watching this on streaming. I know you wanted to be here, but I love you, and I'll see you in Abeokuta tonight. So I'm coming. So Tunde Kalani was somebody very honest, about his filmmaking, and you were that. So when I was trying to make this film, and then I saw Morocco, and I says, okay, I have the film, So tell people about Morocco, please.
Well, I mean, Morocco is a film that we've made about the demolitions in what you now call Lekki Phase 1. I think Morocco was 2004 at the time. But I wanna, because what drove me to make Morocco at the time was that I was still in that phase of my career where I was trying to determine why I made the kind of choices I make in terms of the kind of stories I wanted to tell. In fact, I think it was at that point that I decided that I was not really a commercial filmmaker. My goal,
thank God.
that my goal, or what moved me really, was not just that the film made money, but that the film made meaning, and that as many people as possible saw it, but were able to reflect after seeing it. Which kind of, because this is your conversation, I want to get what's going on in your mind.
Listen, let me. I am because you are.
Yeah.
I exist because you exist. So it's like, I think when you told me you want to do this, and I say, remember, I said I want to talk, because is for me, like you said, it's a homecoming. I feel like that, really, totally. I've been actually thinking about all this because people don't, I go abroad, people say, well, who are your inspirations, So, I have like European inspiration, but I also have people you can go to their door who are like, because Morocco is such an honest film. In Nigeria at that time, fucking hell, it was just so.
It was important to make because there were 400,000 people that were displaced and left homeless. It's remarkable that, at the time, Governor Raji Rasaki had said they were cleaning up the space so that they could rebuild it for the people they displaced to be restored. And obviously there was an administrative mix-up because it ended up with generals and very rich people. But I want to ask you about that, because a lot of young filmmakers are in that place where they live in an industry like Nollywood that's actually organically commercial.
Yes.
How do you, what is your thinking around, I mean, and I'm certain that conscience and commercialism can coexist. It does not need to be one or the other.
Totally.
But I think it's always important for those who wish to be artists to actually sit down and make a decision on the choices that they make. Can you speak to that?
I think it's kind of my driving force, really. I would say there are three things: people. I was talking about you, so it's random. I meet people, and I feel like people with integrity. It's not a lot of people have integrity. So so people kind of motivate me and inspire me. My why is my then that's people. Then second thing is a personal one. I want to make films that only me can make. Nobody else can make it. Basically, if give people like 10 times the money, give them less than, but only me, can make this film. So, which is like the way you do painting. So that comes back to the art. So I see cinema as an art form because I studied it. And I don't do entertainment. I'm not sure entertaining you, So I make films that I want you to think. I want you to reflect on your world, where you live. I want you to, so that is second one. I really want to make films that is only me can make. And I don't want to make a lot of films. I want to make only 8. I was 6 before. Then my friend said, why do you want to make only 6? So I want to make only 8 films, And so the why is also on the fact that we have, like I told you, one of the motivations of doing Relentless was all that things, the social things that coming in, and then the imagery we have of ourselves as Africans in the world. We don't have the access of being able to tell our story in a very, 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 very authentic way. So most of the films we do is to please others, so people can see us like we belong, like I keep saying, and I'm having a kind of epiphany at the moment because I'm doing a project where the person I'm doing about it is like, it's a kind of like somebody who's gone way before, how I feel. So I feel like, yeah, I'm right, So, yeah, you could be, and I'm kind of radical, also because I think radical in a way that everything is based in the world around money. And I don't care about money, I care about making things. I care about creating, So whether it's with 10 euro or 1 million euro is the same for me. The thing is for me, do I have the idea? Do I have the energy? And then do I have the people, that I really want to do stuff with? So the why is kind of like all these kind of little things put together, and they motivate me. Sometimes it's, yeah, like I see Morocco and I was making a film about this guy. I was like, okay, I want this to be a part of the film. I want this to be really integral. And yeah, Relentless is very, very, very important because that's the film people talk to me about, young people like to say. Like I was talking to C. Jobas, I think if he was going to be here, but he was in Rwanda, and he just told me, wow, like I say, I'm proud of you. He said, no, but he said, like, you guys opened the way, to make films.
Yeah, C. Jobas, I really like
his
work
film,
as
Mami
well.
Water, is great.
Mami Water is
so
one of the things I think that make films like Mami Water and Relentless interesting is this tension between images as a narrative string of a plot,
yes,
and images in a mise-en-scene,
yes,
that is actually meant to
provoke you
to say things, whether it's the distance of the subject to the background, whether it's what the background looks like, but that artistic sensitivity to how film is made,
is constructed.
How do we bring it to the work that we are doing? Because I think that the margin of difference for a lot of the work that comes out of not just Nigeria, but Africa, seems to be that the visual narrative is always in a hurry.
Yeah.
It seems to be chasing the plot and the capacity, because the difference between Francophone filmmakers and most Anglophone is that the Francophone filmmaker understands that you're consuming more than the dialogue. Yes. You're consuming a lot with each frozen frame. Yeah. How do we teach this? How do we get more of our filmmakers to think filmically about the plot? The plot is important.
But the film, actually, because cinema is sound and image, and I think, and the story. So people are so based on the story because that's what entertains them, But me, I think we're talking about question around that. When I was in school, my best class was semiology. It wasn't directing. Okay, directing, or don't you can hang out with actresses, that's cool. But I like semiology, which is like you learn to read image, understand the image, so you can go into the psychiatry of an image. You can do a film based on Lacan, who's like, psychiatrist, psychanalyst. You can do one about Freud based on Freud. You can make a story that is Freudian, you know? Not like you do Othello and nothing, but you can actually visually make a Freudian film, you know? And that if you're watching it, that's what you're saying. And so semiology was so good for me because it made me, because I don't like to explain images. So I know the images I'm doing. So actually I don't like to explain stuff, you know, and you have to go and it's like go study, go and learn it. So it's not like entertainment, that thing, but it's just like I'm showing you a world and you get educated around it. So semiology is very important. But me, personally, a lot of directors or filmmakers do it differently, or image makers. Me, I want to make the most authentic thing I can make at that time, at that moment X, and and then be able to not French people say trahir, which is betray that moment and what I feel about that moment.
I want to take from that because I get invited to a lot of conversations at film festivals across the world, and it's the same subject matter, the authenticity of the African narrative. And I often fear that when they are, because you know the whole world now, the streamers and those who are commissioning and sales agents are all looking for this thing they call hyperlocal stories. And for me, it tends to their instincts to the colonization of imagery itself.
Totally.
So how do we, being the originators, because I said to them in Joburg that I really do believe this is a golden age of the African story, not because the African story is new, but because there's access for the African story. How do we define authenticity? Is it the dance and the drums and the costume and the Ankara and all of that, or is it the emotional core of the stories we're telling, and basically our worldview as as citizens of the world?
Well, I think it's a bit of all that, and because the dance and drums are really important, but almost like now it's been imposed on us as how we should express ourselves, and I think also there's a kind of intervention we should have as artists, because we're not supposed to be nice or artists. When Japan say you're going to put the artist, say, take it away. It's too big for me to carry. I don't want to be called an artist. So artists but that's our role. You go where nobody goes to. And I think there's something we've lacked, which is the design in what we're doing. The visual design of things. And I think that's the biggest thing for me. I think it's even a big problem in our life, on our civilization, okay, on the way we do. I think we like design. And because when you want to design something, I design this clothes for you like a tailor, I have to think about you. What you're going to do with it, how you're going to wear it, are you going to get married with it? So you can do the same thing with imagery, and our culture, design it for the purpose of the visual we're looking for. So because everybody now wants stuff, like you say, they want that kind of things. And because now you can travel to Lagos and, you don't have to be scared at night, like when I was doing Relentless. So I think but it's also something we do. We have to blame ourselves, because me and Bola are talking about it all the time, that we can't blame other people. We create these situations, because we create everything people are doing to us is because we actually let some of them happen. I mean, there are things we cannot do, but right now we are overtly chasing money, we're overtly chasing funds to be able to do projects about ourselves. So Chinese art became very important in the world. Maybe it's like number 2 now, because Chinese people started collecting Chinese arts, So if you want to have authentic African stories, Mike Adenuga should give you money for IREP to finance filmmakers. And they do what they want to do, and not to be entertaining people. You just do like something that nobody like. The first time I went to see Susan Wenger, okay? Susan Wenger was Shobo, right? I know. I was so scared, you know how this white woman that is so dry, and that's how I was like, I wanted to make a film about her, So she told me, go to the forest. Somebody says, she had the forest where I had all the sculptures in the forest, Shobo. So I was just talking about her. She's like, go to the forest. And I went there, I was like, wow, the way she's taken our culture, and made it an art project. You know what I mean? And I think we have all that. We have a lot of Oshobos, we even have a lot of Susan Wengers who are like you, who are like, so I think the problem is like, some of the problem is us, we don't design our future, basically. And so we don't design our art, we don't design imagery, we don't like the way we're sitting down, like, actually, he should play Relentless before we start talking, because me and you can talk for 1 year. So can you play the teaser of Relentless so people know how these old people are talking about, because we're really old people here.
Yeah, please show us. You've got a trailer.
I have a teaser, the first teaser of Relentless. Because I want to
remember.
say something about it that is very important about what we're talking about, designing the future.
Who are you?
To your breast, gonna put it to the test. You wanted it to be blessed, and you already know, yeah, you know how this will end. You already know. You already know. You already know.
I do remember the trailer of Relentless.
Okay. So I just want about design. I just want to say something about design because um Bola is here, works with me, and does all the crazy things we do together. Yeah, and the design about actually Lagos, see, like this is Lagos. This is like we shot in Yaba, we shot in Salego, we shot in Kuramo. So we made those things beautiful. And I see Jimmy John Lewis, because making all these films in Nigeria. I brought him to Nigeria. This was the first time he came to Nigeria. I brought him.
I see Gideon. Gideon there as well.
Gideon is Makinde. I don't know if he's there. Makinde casted him. I didn't know Gideon. He came, and then he was very quiet. And so, it's, like I said, it's about people. You just like you get into the city, you get all this good energy. And you let them, like, I see Kurama Beach is because of you, that all those things.
What I did like about Relentless back then was that, the whole concept of film being an aggregation of feeling.
Yes.
And the idea that when you watch Relentless, the
the
very personality of Lagos itself.
Yeah.
Lagos is a character.
It's a character. That's the
in the film.
Of the film.
And I think that's one of the things that we really need to be doing for a lot of locations in which we are shooting, which is why I talk about how our filmmaking is so hurried because of, chasing plot, when in fact there is so much more. I know you're here doing new work. You're doing something very interesting with Demas Nwoko, and I thought I'd give you an opportunity here as well to kind of give us an idea, sort of like an insight.
How long do we have? How long do we have?
The German,
Oh, 30
we
minutes.
have
Okay.
30 minutes.
Okay. I'm doing basically, there are two new works I'm doing. One is Ogene. Do you have the poster of Ogene? Can you show it? I want to see that because it's a film that is actually my version of another film I did before, which is like, but it's totally different. So yeah, this is so basically it's a film that 2PDX was a film we did, but again, and I was supposed to shoot in China and Nigeria with money from some of the money, a third of the money was from DSTV. So then Japanese people put the bigger part of the money and the French put bigger part of the money. So they had the rights.
So it's an international production.
Film. Yeah. So we've done the Nigerian part, which is 20 Pound Dreams, and Showmax has shown it. But Japanese people think it wasn't so much an Okoroafor film, it was too plotty, like what we're talking about. So it was Showmax, so they had to they have a different crowd, and they had the African rights, they had it before. So they asked me, what will it take for you to make the film you want to make from this? That's okay, put more money and and buy my time, So they bought my time, and I think it's, they're working hard on it, yeah, I think the film is gonna be ready. They want to make it like all Asian festivals, and then they want to make it like, but it's like I like the film that it's become, because it's become like not that story, it's become a film, which is sort of around emotions and style and stuff, so they're extremely happy, but I'm telling them not to disturb me because I'm doing is a documentary.
Okay.
And which I like the story about it because it's long. Can you have the poster of it, please? There are two, so you can put two of them. That Mass Moko documentary poster.
Oh.
Can you put the blue one? He has it. Yeah. So this is a film it's how can I explain this? It's really neat at the moment. So the way I was very quick with Ogene, and this one is like I'm deep in it because I have a lot of respect for the man, a lot of actually his ideas. And so there's this lady, let's say, I don't know if she's here. Okay, all right. I think she's here. So she came to see me in a hotel room, and told me about this. And then this was some 5-6 years ago, and took me to Damas Wanko's house. No, not in Badon, in Delta. But you have to stop. I think she was. I don't know. I didn't know if I flew with her or she flew already, and then I met her, and then they came and picked me up and took me to this village. And I met him. So we talked to the guy. I talked to him, and he said he wanted to, so they had a book. He wrote a book about his life. So when I told me it was like about a book. And then, that's what he wanted to make as a film. And I left and I told her, I can make it. You need $50 million, I think, belongs to make a film like this, because it's like, it's about his life from the 1920s. So, and then I think she wanted to try to do differently. And then all of a sudden, I got a mail from, because of Clam. Somebody sent me a mail about that he's going to receive the award and stuff. So I called her, okay, let's go. And she was very enthusiastic about it. So it became this kind of documentary it is now. So, and it's actually evolving the way I'm looking at it now. So it becomes very meditative around us, and he's an absolutely giant. Yeah. And it's a bit like trying to make a film about Fela Kuti, right? That's why nobody could make a film about him, right? Because I've seen scripts with some of my friends, everybody started, because it's very big. So, and the approach is to take a part of his life that, is kind of like, and I think that's also, it would be hard to make the whole film about his life, like it's too expensive to make. So I'm doing a documentary based on his prize. He won in Venice as a Lion d'Or. So it's been a struggle, but I think we deserve to do this, And in between that, I've had 2 heart operations. So it's very hard, So like, I have to face myself, I couldn't come and say,
I mean, those are
so I couldn't come today, and I said,
those are
also,
the immediate rewards
so,
of running around with German in the middle of the night.
No, I just,
Right?
no, because people think, like me, I do very beautiful, glamorous stuff, but I don't think it's glamorous, I don't believe in glamour. I don't believe in all that stuff, actually, because uh, it's the biggest stories are behind it, I think, and they are the things that make you do the projects themselves, the stories behind the project. So, yeah, I think it's going to be a very important film in a different way, I have no idea in what way, I'm a filmmaker, I make films, I don't make films for Netflix where you have a deck and you have to do how it's going to, no. It's going to take its shape and a lot of things are forming it. So I'll have to see how it goes, but it has to be done like, yeah, I want it to be ready for the Biennale, so that, because it started at the Biennale, we started shooting in 2023, where he won the prize.
Yeah.
And then I think we finished shooting, I think October I was here to shoot the last bit. And now we're in post-production. And it's very hard.
When are you looking to premiere this?
I want to finish, that's the glamour part of film I don't care about, really. I just want to finish the film, And the other thing is just communication and other stuff, these things I can do in my dreams, it's easy, those parts. The part is to make the film, and these people forget about that. People do the premieres and like award prizes. Like I never put my films to win awards because I didn't make my films to win awards. And I'm listening to them because I'm doing the post-production, I'm editing at the moment. So he was saying if he didn't do an exhibition of his work in Biennale, it doesn't make sense for him to go. He says, get a prize and we could send somebody to pick it up, So he wants people to see his work. And a lot of his ideas, taking them all, you know how you make films, they change you, And so, yeah, so I just want the film to finish, the world can see it the way I want it to be. And the rest, I'll be on the next project.
I'm hoping that, when you finish with this, because the reason I'm asking is because hopefully there's another IREP next year. And at this time, it will not just be this conversation, it will also be opportunity for us to actually see the work.
I think a lot of things will determine that, which should be, for me, really, I can't see that far at the moment. I'm just seeing, I have a tunnel vision of finishing the film. And that's it, whatever it takes, finish it so it exists. And I could have signed my moral contract with this man, and with everybody that worked on it, So that's
I'm going to give the audience a chance to ask you questions as well. But before I do that, there was a thing you sent to me, a questionnaire for me to answer, and it was about time.
Yes.
And asking different artists across the world to think and reflect about time.
Yes.
And I realized that, I was thinking about it when I realized that one of the questions as well was that I was supposed to think about time while monitoring the time within which I thought about time, and then to write about it. And actually, by the time that I was done, I thought the reflections that I'd actually put down were things that even I myself was unaware I thought about time. Why did you choose that as a theme? I find it very provocative, but essentially incredibly rewarding. That's something that I thought I was so familiar with.
Yes.
Could somehow become some profound reflection.
Yeah.
And I wanted to ask, how do we get at least part of our industry into spaces where the kind of films, the kind of stories we tell actually creates that sort of provocation where we are profound about the familiar?
Oh, that's deep. That's psychoanalytic. I think to talk about time is very important. Like I think um, I I live or create from an honesty. Actually, like if I'm interested in, I can, like if I want to make a film with somebody, I try to, I want them to be in a film. So I don't know how it's going to happen. So I think time. I will tell you why I'm talking about honesty is to be like honest to yourself, to be very honest to yourself. And then why I asked this question around time was like, when I do clam, I think like people see our films. That's why I think this conversation is extremely important because we can show both films to the end, but they don't know what we think. We are almost like characters, and I'm not a character. I never want to be. So I don't actually do a lot of interviews. I do a lot of stuff you could see, but I don't explain them. So I think that's why you invited me here. I told you I said, yeah, it's good to do it because so also we can be able to talk about Diamond Smoker. People don't know him a lot. And then we can be able to also think. And the whole thing I'm doing around Clam Magazine is to get creative people, artists, to think about what is ordinary so that people can see the extraordinary in that. And so we can design our life and our future, which I think is a big deficit we have designing of things. So time, I think, is important. And then that's on a different level, on a very simple level. We are older. And we're doing films that always stay young. We never die in a film, right? It's like you look at Relentless, it's like fucking 20 years ago. Sorry, I'm swearing. It's like I don't know, it's like almost 20 years ago. And then everybody looks young, and like I don't know if I can do that again. Like I can't be fighting with gangsters in Lagos. Like in the night to shoot at night. So I think time is. I think also then it comes to writing about cinema, about ourselves, creative people that we have, the young people. You have to take time. Like I said, this project we're doing, I think Esther has been even doing it, maybe I don't know how many years she's been doing it, with different kind of people. And then maybe the project is going to end up is not actually what you do. So, but, and so, yeah, it's like you take the time, if not, you don't get a result. And time, time is like, French people say, le temps est assassin, this is like, time is a murderer. So how do you deal with a murderer? How do you deal with a killer? Time kills. So you can also kill time, So, I mean, we're getting into a whole different level that is not for this. But what I'm saying is like, to make good films, you have to take time. Because you've been talking about it all the time. Like it's almost like we're rushing the story without to get the story right. But it's also around the economy of it because cinema is the horrible thing, the most horrible thing you want to do. Like some of us do want to do a film. I said, don't do it, but because the financial outlay to do it. And then what people who are like me, that's why I don't want to be called an artist, German. So who are actually difficult in a way or not difficult, we're easy, but we're very precise on what we want to do. So, and we don't compromise on those things. So it becomes really hard for other people. It's not hard for me, it's like, this is what I do. So, and that's what gets the results that I have. So, but also I work like crazy, like I told you, I've had 2 heart operations, like, and I've been editing a film, like in not the most comfortable situation, for the past couple of weeks. So yeah.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
I've got a few minutes left, I'm sure. Yeah? Questions, please.
Oh, that's Didi. Thank God. He came. Nice.
Okay, so since nobody wants to ask a question, let me have an engagement with Andy. So let it not be have just be talking. Yeah, but I'm curious also. I think it goes my question or observation goes both to Andy and Femi. Because I guess when you are talking about what influences your cinema, you are referencing the Nouvelle Vague in France. And yet, Femi Odugbemi also said that considering our new cinema, how the image and the plot seem to be at variance with each other. Okay, if I watched your short clip just now. And I'm curious also is that, and then one thing leads to the other. You talk about time now. What comes to mind is Proust, in search of lost time. But I think
yes.
And I think also as an archivist who have been working with found footage for some time now, dealing with Nigeria's history and the memory of cinema, how come, for instance, most Nigerian filmmakers, we go back when we want to talk about cinema and what we think is the crisis at the heart of African cinema? You referenced the new wave just now, but what about the third cinema? Because I think that the problem with Nigerian cinema and African cinema contemporary is this tendency to move between European art cinema that is in love with images and the Hollywood cinema that is commercial. But what about the third cinema that was put forward in 1969? How come you don't seem to reference third cinema?
Okay, to start with, I think you came a bit late because the first thing one of the people I talked about was Tunde Kelani, okay? And Tunde Kelani was a cinematographer and he makes films. For me, he's one of I talked about him in the beginning and actually, so he's for me is somebody who's a very big inspiration for me for cinema making. And my films are different. I went as a young man to France to study cinema, and I studied Ozu. I studied, Japanese masters. I studied, a lot of different things. I don't like American films because they're all around emotions, and entertainment. So not all of them, but mostly. So, but for me, if you study the film of Tunde Kelani, I think it tells you a whole story, not one of Nigerian, filmmaking. He was a cameraman. He worked for Nigeria. His movement is, for me, it's like when we're looking for who is that guy, who's that reference, Yeah, he's an anchor of what we do because he was a cameraman. He works what he told us? He missed filming First Act because he was in England filming something for BBC or something, and it was like, it's not possible in Nigeria, so I reference people like that because also it's not even a reference. I'm going to see him tonight, tomorrow, So it's people I sit down and talk cinema about, So I know what you mean, but I don't think my reference for films like Nouvelle Vague because I studied it, and that's why I actually want to do cinema because they existed. And before then, I didn't see films that I liked, and unless you were living in Lagos, I was living in Umuahia, and then you don't get to see a lot of films until I come and start seeing these films that touched me. So that's why also you see my project written made in Umuahia because it's very important for me. It's a place I go back to. It's my home, and I sit down there. Even in Clam magazine, it's written made in Umuahia because most of the ideas that I do about anything I do that goes all over the world is anchored on being Umuahia, from Umuahia and that's why Tunde Kelani is extremely important because he made me see that you could do Yoruba films that are not Yoruba films that people think is Yoruba films. Like it's Tunde Kelani films. It's his fame. It's like you can't do it. I can't even do his films. I just ask him questions. How do you do that? I do that. So I think there are a lot of references, that are there. And like somebody I would have liked to be a reference, but I never actually got in. Is the guy who did Amadi. What's his name? Olabalogun, because I actually met him and I met his wife, and because I was studying cinema in Paris, and the only person I could think of was him. I wanted to meet him, but he left. So maybe if I met him, it could have influenced the kind of my thought. But I discovered Tunde Kelani. I chose him as.
I think I can. For those who don't know who the questioner was, Didi Sheka is a filmmaker, but also one who is restoring some of our old footages of Nigerian films. One of the things that I wanted, to ask him, I didn't even know he was here because
I made sure he came and he was nice.
His hair and look and everything. He used to be a regular at IREP and yeah.
He went abroad. He
went abroad. Yeah. But we miss you at IREP because he was also an agent provocateur.
Yeah.
He used to
come here.
The one that asked all the questions that cost everybody to break a bottle. But welcome back. I wanted to ask you, by the way, these films that you're restoring, is there any documentation of the process? Because one of the things that's also a gap for us is that a lot of our filmmakers are organically bred. there is a gap between the films that you are restoring and those who are self-teaching themselves images and visuality. And we need to be able to have the documentations, not just the films, but books and stuff that's been written about those, so that, because you can't call people ignorant if you give them no knowledge. And I think that's one of the real problems that I think we have. The other thing is, yes, we have the Olabalogons and we have the Tunde Kelanis, and we're very grateful for them, but we also have a new generation of really good images.
Yes.
Now, who I think just need direction in terms of building on what was before. Because one of the things that's still here...
We need to make a bridge then.
We have to, but that bridge has to be educational. Yeah. That bridge has to be books, has to be references, has to be films, has to be filmmakers like yourself, like Didi, who mentor those who are coming along, because there's also this elitism thing where people who know think that their only relevance within this industry is to stay the only ones who know.
But I want to interrupt you too, please, something like that.
Yeah.
There's some people who don't know, who think they know.
We have that too. We are a large country. We have a large number
but that's what makes people
proudly ignorant. We also, why I say this is because my journey in the last 10 years has been mentoring young people. Not just mentoring them in the basics, but mentoring how they think about their craft. It's also why I wanted my team and I thought it was important that someone like you come and also speak.
Thank you. Because I feel like a lot of young energy, but I think you have a lot of work, and Didier, you're an archivist, so you have to make sure that they can see different things, because we are really, I have French word, envahi, and we're just like submerged by American imagery. And we're submerged by the second wave of slavery that we make ourselves into. We enslave ourselves, so now at the moment. So we have, our bodies are transmitted, transported, and our ideas are transported, so we always almost believe that we're not doing anything that's cool locally. So I think there's a lot of, like you said, education, but I think it's also a lot of people like creating spaces like IREP. And I think it's like this conversation should actually, I'm going to be on your ass and invite my friends to come, so, because it's very important. I'm 59 years old, so I'm not going to be young again. And so the only thing I'm doing now is transmission. I'm transmitting ideas, I'm transmitting, knowledge, enthusiasm, ideas, or whatever, style, I don't know. So if I'm lucky, I'll live 20 more years, and then people are going to read clam.
I don't know how to say this in English, but yes, you are definitely going to live long. He's likely to live in the hundreds. I hope you do. Any other questions, please? Let's
wrap. Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
We'll take maybe 2 more questions and be done.
Okay, please.
Hello, my name is Ijoma Richards. You keep saying that you don't want to be referred to as an artist. And looking at you and listening to you, I think you encompass what an artist kind of means to me. The eclecticness, the varied experiences, your insistence on doing you. So why would you not want to be referred to as an artist?
I just think it's like, I don't like people to define me. And an artist, like, it's very interesting because Jaman and I went to that. He sent me stuff about artists, and I said, please take away artists. I don't want people to define me as an artist. So I think my sister, like, I'm an artist from what I be, what I am, what I do, but I don't want to be that definition of me, because I'm a whole lot of other things, but those other things make me become an artist, So, but maybe I'm a guy who's an artist who doesn't want to assume it. So like friendship, I'm speaking so much French in my thoughts. So I don't want to kind of like acknowledge it, on my own. When people say it's okay, but I don't like to say it like I'm that, So because maybe I'm very humble, maybe I'm not, but I don't know. So I like doing everything artist does without being called that, if you know what I mean. Okay, thank you.
A final question?
Final question, please. Okay, there's a lady. Okay, oh, talk. No, ask.
As you were going on, the word Renaissance man was coming to my mind.
Yes.
Renaissance.
Okay.
Because every time I listen to you and I was typing things here, and I remember our meeting.
Yes.
You came into Lagos maybe by night bus. You were doing photography, then you went into film, and you're publishing a magazine. I'm thinking of the interconnection of all of this. And
Okay.
Ijoma just raised that question about being an artist. This totality of experience, and how do you describe it? I think FO spoke about it already.
Yeah.
I think
Okay.
you're a Renaissance man, and this one just brought it to my mind because he was writing a column for me at the Guardian. Then
Okay, good. So these are all the people I met in your office. So I think I have only one thing I do. I don't know how to do a lot of things, you know. I know how to do images. Like I'm actually arrogant about it. I know it, you know, like I studied it. You know, I can do images. I don't know how to fix the bulb. I don't know how to do a lot of stuff, you know. I'm pretty useless kind of person, you know. I was making images. So I know this. So I think the connection when I do a film is the same thing as I'm doing a Clam magazine. Clam magazine is a story, like, and it's worldwide, you know, like we have like 53 artists from around the world. And what is good, they're thinking the same. I make the questions and I give it to them. He's in the next one, so you know. So he's going to answer the same question as somebody in Thailand, somebody in Mexico. And so he's going to bring all this color of ideas. And I don't do mass products. So, you know, it's very important, you know. So I do something that for a certain kind of people, and then they spread it down, you know. So I'm not that person going to do something for everybody, you know. I do something for certain kind of people, and then those people can, you know, bring it down. So I think images is the thing that ties us together. I think we're getting too late. So one last question so I can get off the stage, please. Yeah. Okay. Oh, sir, please. Okay, I want to make, okay. Yes. Yeah, I'm 59. Yeah. So maybe that's why
he has another 50.
so maybe that's why he was saying the question I'm doing around time, you know. So basically, when I do Clam, I have interrogations around creativity, around, you know, life, existence. So, and I share with other artists. That's why it's not for everybody at the beginning. So the artists give these ideas. We're going to inspire a movement for us to realize. Me, because I thought like, first of all, I didn't want to make films when I was too early, too young. Okay, I wanted to have life experience to make films. So I think I made Relentless in my 40s, right? So, and I think like also when you get older, you make a different kind of film. Okay, yeah. So like I was saying, I can't make Relentless now. If you give me $10 million, I won't do it because it's just crazy, you know. Where like I don't even know how Bola and I be able to like, you know, own Lagos every day at night for like half a month, you know, no more than half a month, a month, you know, 30 days of every day at night in Lagos from 8 p.m. to 4 a.m. We're in Lagos. So we know all the gangsters, we know all the policemen, we know all the prostitutes, we know everybody. So, yeah, so I don't think, so 8 films, I think like, because I do a lot of other films, you know. So these are just short, but I do art films that you can only see in art galleries. And like I'm also doing a film that I do films that I can only see an art festival in Japan. I'm like director of an artist in Japan. So I make films every year for them, but they can't show it outside the festival. So if you go to festival, so that's kind of things you can also do. All right. So like I'm doing a new one now, you know that. So I'm going to Japan in May and they're going to show it at the festival. So these are things like maybe Didi will archive when I'm not anymore here. So, but I have things.
I'm going to.
Yeah, I have to stop.
I'm going to actually ask so that we give opportunity to those who are online trying to ask you a question. I think the one that hasn't been answered will probably be the one that says, Mr. Amadi, is there anything wrong with emotional films, and can viewers avoid watching films from an emotional perspective. That's one. That's the second one that I think you can weave together. It says, could you expand further on what you mean by designing African culture stories and how that impacts culture itself for the better?
Wow, that's a smart guy. I think he's smarter than me. So the first thing was around emotional. No, that's not wrong with emotional film. Just like the kind of film, that is dominant in the world, which is the American films. That now you know how Nigerians are. We don't like to spend the time and kill ourselves to invent something new. We just buy the, like it's like, we don't have water, let's buy a tank, we don't, so we just don't kind of put that time. It comes back to the idea of time, as we as no more young people, time becomes very essential. So I think emotional films are okay. And I don't have anything emotional. Actually, my films have emotion, but just like it's not what I'm looking for when I'm making a film. I like to provoke an emotion, but it's not like manipulated, it will come from you. It will come from your own experience.
I think the
your
difference
life.
is manipulation.
Exactly.
That's the
yeah.
word.
I don't manipulate you to cry or to laugh at this point. Oh, it works here. Like, it's like, no.
Format and formulas.
Exactly. Yeah, so it's just going to walk here. It's going to laugh here. No, I just create, it's like the world. I like the world. I like people. I think that makes me actually make images and films. I like profoundly people. I like people. I like human beings. I like being a human being, so, and I like to be able to, as much as I can, because cinema is so vast, present kind of human beings, and you can get attached to them or not, and see where they live.
Empathy.
Empathy. Oh, God bless you. Humanism and empathy. So, the guy online, my question, why it's not, I think we should search for humanity and empathy. That's what I search for in my film. And then he said about how design is so important. I don't think I would have been a filmmaker if I didn't think around design. Like even the story, even like I made a great exercise, on the project I'm working on, which is like a documentary. So I made it like fiction. It was a documentary, I planned kind of the scenes, and I think imagine what they will say. And I wrote the questions for the, interviewer, whose essay was doing it, And then from there, I can now, when I'm editing it, I can edit anyhow I want it, So, and as for me, it's a design. It's like something that, so that's what it's taking me. I'm challenging myself to, how can you, it's like making a painting. How do looking at it. So I think, so to answer this question, we should always design, because if we design, then we can master something. And one of the reasons we don't master our future as Africans is we don't design them,
Excellent.
Yeah. So.
That's such a great and profound way to sort of bring this to a close. We can be more profound with our storytelling if we focus on design.
Yes.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, would you please put your hands together for Mr. Andy Okoroafor. Thank you, Andy. Absolutely.
Thank you. No, thank you. Picture. I like this homecoming because I see a lot of people I used to see, like him, like everybody. Yeah. Take off my glass. Okay, yeah. Okay. So I can look at my daughter, So my daughter think I'm cool, Thank you, everybody. Thanks.